Say, handsome.
It's this place, apartment house over there, apartment 207 upstairs.
Hey, you've been on a level with us before. Better be giving us straight to open this one.
Look, man, this Carter's well known. He does good work. I was over there just a couple of days ago. They had a whole pile of phony papers right out on the kitchen table. Passports, credit cards, licenses, anything you want, he's got it.
Bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. Harry, were you thinking like a what? Bam, 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 bam. To another apartment again. Ever. Bam, bam.
Look, Michael, give me the gun. Come on, now, the move here made your mother very tired, okay? Here, read this comic book for a while, okay?
Hey, Mike, why don't we go down this way?
All right.
Please don't. Open up.
Stay where you are, kid. Where's your parents?
Jerry, somebody's busted in.
Police officers. Where's Carter?
Carter, there's no Carter here. What do you want?
You're under arrest, Carter.
What do you want? Look, my name's not.
Watch it, he's got a gun.
No, it's only Michael. No, no. Oh, God. What have you done? My God, what have you done? We just moved in here today. What happened, Carter? Oh, God. The gun wasn't even real. It wasn't even real.
My God, Roy. What have we done?
I'll call an ambulance.
Working robbery detail, eh, Thomas?
Yeah, the tip I got on that liquor store heist is Frank Gusty. I hear he may have a gun and I want some backup. Here's the address.
Okay, hop in.
Wow, you scared me.
Weren't you expecting us early?
Mm-mm. Were you able to get some steaks?
Oh, honey, at these prices. And you know the meat didn't even look good.
Ah, too bad.
Betty, thanks a lot.
It's been so late.
Okay, dear.
Geez, you're really looking good these days, Betty.
Frank.
Watch out for him.
I will.
Police officer, lady. Frank Gusty in there?
Frank, he has a gun!
The tragic event you have just seen could probably have been avoided. It is not surprising that the common law has, from the earliest days in England, drastically limited the authority of the king's officers, and now police officers, to force entry into a private dwelling. The common law policy of knock and notice can be traced back to medieval times and has been codified in federal statutes as well as the majority of states. The rule typically provides that when police officers have reason to enter a dwelling to effect an arrest or execute a search warrant, they must first identify themselves as police officers, second, demand admittance, and third, explain their purpose. Only after their demand for admittance is refused, by action or inaction, may they forcibly enter.
Here it is, Jimmy.
Police officers, open up. We have a warrant for your arrest for burglary.
As one court said, few actions are as likely to evoke violent response from householders as unannounced entry by a person whose identity and purpose are unknown to them.
Yes, officer?
We have a warrant for the arrest of Roland Agnew.
Yeah, I'm Agnew. What's the problem?
You're under arrest. Put your hands up there.
Spread your legs.
Spread them.
The announcement rules are based on the individual's right to privacy and the policy of avoiding violent confrontations to minimize harm to officers and citizens. Any evidence seized in violation of the announcement rules may be held inadmissible. And if the occupant is not reasonably aware that the person breaking in is an officer, because the officer did not announce himself, the occupant may have the right to resist, whether or not he has committed a crime. The previous episodes have dramatized the policy behind knock and notice statutes. The following vignettes will dramatize the law of knock and notice. Situations where the officers are excused from compliance with the knock and notice rules will be taken up in part 2 of this show entitled Excuse and Trickery.
Hey, what's happening? Did you get a hold of anything yet? Or is the heat still on? Listen, all I want is a couple of bags myself. Half a piece. It's a little out of my line tonight. How much is half? Half a piece. 250. Yeah, it's a little out of my line at this present time. Hey, listen, you couldn't give me a couple of balloons, huh? Yeah, I dig it, man. You don't want to bust it up. Hey, look, well, I got a friend. He might be interested in buying a half a piece. I don't know if you know him. A guy named Sonny. Yeah, he was looking for some stuff, but I don't know if he wants it or not. Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll have to go talk to him now. And remember, I just want a couple of bags for myself. Okay, I'll get back with you in a little while. You'll be home? Okay, I'll let you know what happens. We bought it. My deal with you guys better go through.
Don't worry. The DA's condition was that you produce, and you produced. Stanton sent some really bad stuff on the street.
Well, what's the plan? What do you say?
Well, Stanton told him that he's got half an ounce. He'll get rid of it for 2.5. Kane said he has his friend Sonny that might want to buy. It went down just like we planned. Kane gets some money from Sonny to make the buy. Then we move in.
Well, Kane's got to make contact with Stan again before we go over there, right?
Yeah, we'll wait an hour. Then you call Stanton again. You tell him that Sonny's interested, and that you will make the buy for him. We'll wait in the parking lot around from the corner from Stanton's place. Jim, can you get the money right away?
Yeah, just tell me how much we'll need. I'll go get it now.
Okay, before you give him the money, don't forget to do a skin search.
Right.
Here it is.
What'd you see inside?
You just saw him and his old lady. She was smoking dope, that's about it. I mean, he had everything ready for me when I was there, so I don't know if there's anything else.
Anybody else inside?
Like I told you, man, I just saw him and his old lady. They're in the living room. I don't know if there's anybody else.
The majority of states, including California, require that officers knock, announce their identity, and state their purpose prior to forcing entry. But what if you face unusual circumstances? For instance, what would you do in the following situation?
What's going on? They've got to be in here. It's unlocked.
See anybody?
No, come on.
Are the officers required to comply with the knock and notice requirements even though the door is unlocked? Yes. The opening of a closed but unlocked door constitutes a breaking or a forced entry, and therefore officers are required to announce their identity and purpose before entering. Since the officers did not do so here, this entry is illegal. But let's change the circumstances.
See anything?
Nah.
Come on, open the screen door.
What if the door is open, but a screen door blocks the entry? Must the officers comply with the knock-and-notice rules even though they can see inside? Yes. The opening of a closed screen door is considered a forced entry. Officers must knock, identify themselves, and state the purpose for their presence.
We can't just walk in here. You know that. Hey, look, they just walked in the living room and sat down. Take a peek. Police officers, you're under arrest for the sales of narcotics.
Is this an illegal entry? No. Even though the officer opened the screen door before announcing their identity and purpose, their entry was nothing more than a technical breaking. This is because the occupants of the house were informed of the officer's identity and purpose while they were still at the door. The officers did not invade their privacy because a screen door alone does not suggest a desire for privacy. Neither was the risk of violence increased as to any party. What about this situation? Can the officers walk right in, or are they still required to knock and announce their identity and purpose before entering?
I don't hear anybody, do you?
No, let's go in. Maybe we can catch him in
Hey,
here.
wait a second, man. We just can't go trotting in. We gotta knock first.
Why not?
Must the officers comply with the knock and announcement rules? Yes. Even though the officers would not be committing a breaking by walking through the open door according to the common law, this unannounced entry would be illegal today in California and many other states. Remember, these rules were designed to preserve privacy and prevent violent confrontations. The potential for violence here would be the same, whether the police entered unannounced through an open or through a closed door. Now another variation.
How do you want to handle this?
No problem. I've already talked to the landlord of this place. He gave me a key. He said we can go right on in.
May the officers enter unannounced through the use of a pass key? No. A non-consensual entry by means of a pass key is a forced entry within the meaning of the announcement rules. Therefore, officers must knock and announce their presence and purpose prior to such a breaking.
Open up, police officers. We're here to make an arrest for narcotic sales. Open up.
Maybe he's not inside. Maybe he's not home.
He's got to be. King just left him. I'll try the door.
Have the officers complied with the entry requirements now? Yes. They knocked, announced their identity as police officers and their purpose for seeking entry, to make an arrest for narcotic sales. If an officer complies with the announcement rules but receives no response after waiting for a reasonable time, he may then generally force entry to make his arrest or execute his search warrant. However, in order to justify forcing entry to make an arrest, the officer must have a reasonable belief that the suspect is present. He must be able to point to specific facts which indicate this. The officers here did have a reasonable belief that the man they came to arrest was within the house, since a narcotics transaction between the suspect and the informant had just taken place inside the house. The knock and announcement rules apply to outer doors and windows of a dwelling. Do they apply to inner doors as well? Yes. Recent cases in California suggest that officers must knock and announce their identity and purpose before forcing entry into any outer or inner door. The expectation of privacy, the courts say, and the prospect of violence are equally great for an outer or inner door.
Who is it?
Stay put, you're under arrest.
Since the officers entered after the woman opened the door, was their entry lawful? No. The officers could not reasonably assume that by opening the door slightly and asking, "Who is it?" the woman thereby gave them consent to enter. While the officers did knock, they failed to announce their authority. Such an announcement is still required even though the officers are in uniform. The courts have held that the mere fact that officers are wearing police uniforms is not enough to provide the occupants of the house with notice of their authority. Finally, the officers did not state their purpose for demanding entry. Consider the next case.
Come on in, the door's open.
Well, you heard the lady.
May the officers enter the house without announcing their authority and purpose? Yes. By being told to come in after knocking, they were given consent to enter. Because they have consent, the knock and announcement rules do not apply. A consensual entry cannot be considered an invasion of privacy. There's still one more area we should mention, but let's review the facts of our situation first. Kane, an informant working with the police, arranged to buy some heroin from a man by the name of Stanton. The officer supplied Kane with the purchase money and waited for him around the corner from Stanton's house. When Kane returned with the heroin, the officers went to Stanton's house to arrest him.
Police officers, open up! Open up, police officers! I think we're gonna have to kick it, Roy. It's locked. Freeze! Get your hands up on your head.
Okay, forward, yep.
The officers did not fully comply with the knock and announcement rules before deciding to force entry into the house because they did not explain their purpose. Does that make their entry illegal? It depends. If officers knock and announce their authority as policemen, and if the circumstances explain their presence, a forced entry without a statement as to purpose may nevertheless be lawful. Here, the officer knocked, announced their authority by stating police officers, but failed to state their purpose. However, was the purpose for their presence obvious? The courts say that where an offense has just occurred inside a dwelling, for example, a narcotics transaction, the occupants are reasonably expected to know the purpose of a police visit. In this case, therefore, the officer's forced entry was lawful. Before forcing entry to make an arrest or execute a search warrant, officers must first demand admittance, identify themselves as police officers, and explain the purpose for demanding admittance. Even if officers comply with these rules and receive no response, they may not force entry to make an arrest unless they reasonably believe that the person to be arrested is inside. These rules apply even if the door is unlocked, open, or the officers have a pass key. Inner doors as well as outer doors also come under the announcement rules. If the occupant consents to the officer's entry after they knock, officers need not comply with these rules. However, consent to enter cannot be given in advance by someone not in the dwelling at the time entry is desired. But note, it is doubtful whether a trespasser in a house would be protected by knock and notice statutes if an absent householder gave police his consent to enter the house. If officers only knock and announce their authority without explaining their purpose, is a subsequent forced entry lawful? Yes, but only if the occupants are reasonably expected to know the purpose of the police visit. Finally, officers should note that the knock and notice rules must be followed, even where the person to be arrested or served is a probationer or parolee.